Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
The video you are about to see is disturbing. A couple of urban explorers from Japan were about to investigate an abandoned house because some of their followers told them that something strange was happening there. Over the course of a few weeks, several food distributors had been receiving orders to this house, something that at first seemed to be normal. However, all of them received a message asking that upon reaching the location, they leave the food under the stairs. The distributors, without any problem, fulfilled that request, but over the course of the days, they realized that the food remained intact. This began to alert the distributors as they did not understand who made those orders and why. All this information was made available to these guys who decided to go personally to explore and verify if someone lived in that place. To everyone's surprise, what they found will make your blood boil.
マジだ。
ネギとかあるっすよ。
本当だ。
8月3日だって。これ湧いてないっすよ。
フランシュがする。なんか
住んでんじゃん。
なにえ
When they arrived at the place, they noticed a large amount of bags of food. As they went up and peeked through one of the windows, they came across a tragic scene. A lifeless body was inside. In total shock at what they just found, they called the police immediately, who rushed to the scene. During the commotion on scene, while police were doing their step-by-step investigation, one of the urban explorers notices a car stall in an adjacent lane across from the building, separated by a small piece of unused land. The occupants, both leaning forward to look at the scenario unfolding, seem to react when noticing the police, and the car quickly drives away. It's possible that the occupants of the car could be related to the incident. Police are still searching for the men for questioning as of yet. There's no arrests made in connection, meaning the investigation is still ongoing.
I would say this is a cautionary video. Besides the fact that it's extremely dangerous to do this urban exploration stuff, with the way the law is today, you don't want to stumble onto a site like this and suddenly be the only guy with his fingerprints on the scene. Urban exploration is fun to watch, but if you don't have permission to be somewhere, you're really just asking for trouble.
Rainbows are a reflection off of our firmament, and I'm here to prove it. Globers say that can't be because from a helicopter, when we look down, we see a full circle rainbow. Well, think about the vantage point. If you were standing inside of this glass dome, let's say here, and you're looking up and out, look what's behind you. This. So if light was reflecting off of it, you'd be getting that. Now imagine that you were up high in this, looking down. Well, what's behind you? A circle. Now let's get to my favorite proof, God's promise. God sent a rainbow to Noah to promise him he would not flood the earth again. Now, I always wondered, what does a rainbow have to do with floods and rain? And well, I'll tell you why this symbolizes just that. You can find the answers in the book of Enoch. Let's read it together. I raised my eyes toward heaven and saw a lofty roof with 7 water torrents thereon. And those torrents flowed with much water into an enclosure. And I saw again, and behold, fountains were opened on the surface of the great enclosure, and that water began to swell and rise up on the surface. And I saw that enclosure till all its surface was covered with water. All right, now let's imagine this taken up to a lofty roof and seeing 7 windows on this thing open up and water come down, filling up the enclosure of earth. Then when the ark landed, he was given a rainbow to symbolize he wouldn't flood the earth again. 7 windows, 7 colors, each color representing the 7 windows now closed, and the rainbow shows a solidity, a solid dome. Oh, and you know when you're standing on the ground and you look straight up at the sun and see a rainbow ring around it? Imagine standing in the center of this, looking up at a sun. Look at what you got here behind it. A circle! And think about how crystals make rainbow light through reflection and refraction. Same as our rainbow. Reflection off the dome, refraction off the rain. You can argue all day that a rainbow is not a reflection off of the dome, but spiritually, it is a symbol that represents the dome. And the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 windows that are now closed. All the answers are there, you just gotta look for them.
Okay, this guy's videos really make me think. For one, I think the rainbow could be explained by the curvature of the atmosphere if we're on a globe. And in order to look up and see a perfectly round rainbow in a dome, would you not need to be directly below the center of the dome? Yet on a globe, anywhere you look up is the center of the curvature of the atmosphere from your given perspective, therefore creating a round rainbow. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and you like this type of content, I post a new one just like it every day, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. It would be awesome if you'd hit that subscribe button and come back tomorrow to join me. Also, if you'd like to check out the latest episode of our podcast, the link is in the description.
Every homeowner who purchased when rates were below 5% might seem to be in an attractive position. But even a portion of those Americans are locked in a situation they can't escape. Many homeowners can't afford to relocate, even if their life circumstances warrant a different housing situation. I've even heard of stories of divorced couples living together because they just can't afford to move. I think even the Wall Street Journal did a big story about that. They're like, yeah, we're divorced, but we still have to live together because of affordability of housing right now. This is how bad it is.
I watched a real estate report the other day where they were talking about how all this is likely to play out. And if you're waiting on housing prices to drop, don't hold your breath. Supposedly, the rates have to drop before people are going to be willing to consider selling, and that's not projected to happen in any significant amount until 2026. So most of the options on the market are going to be new construction homes, which are skyrocketing in price because the cost of everything is skyrocketing in price.
We'll grab his information and see what like I said, can you please collect the information?
He said that he's already illegal. He already said that he went to...
Okay, hold on, let's back a little bit. First off, we're a sanctuary city. Even if he's legal here, we cannot call ICE.
Okay, but you still have to report that, right?
No, we don't. It's a sanctuary city. We do not report illegal undocumented.
So you're gonna let a person who went to prison, he committed a crime in America, who's illegal right now, you're gonna let him go free right now? Because this elevator...
That's exactly what I'm saying, because we're a sanctuary city. I've arrested a double homicide suspect in this city before and let him walk out the door because we're a sanctuary city. We're not gonna call ICE to come pick up and deport him.
He came to pick up $320,000 from your, him, or mine, grandmother and grandfather, and he's walking away freely right now, right? That's what I'm understanding right now.
I understand that, but you're asking me to call ICE or the...
I'm not asking you to call ICE. We're just asking you to take seriously that he's trying to repeat offend when he's already illegal.
He's
repeating what he's already been.
He said, I'm in Chinatown in New York. They pay for his...
It's mind-blowing to me that a city in the United States can just claim that they're a sanctuary city and just decide to stop following federal law. I never dreamed that this would be the state of America.
The 2 astronauts that have been stuck in space aboard Boeing Starliner spacecraft have been hearing strange noises. And the noises are so concerning to them that they even reported them to ground control. For those of you that don't know, there are 2 astronauts that are trapped in outer space, and they've been there for about 80 days. Their original mission was only supposed to be a 10-day mission. But due to Boeing's poor craftsmanship, the entire thing has gone off the rails. They have had multiple helium leaks that have caused thruster malfunctions, and now they're literally trapped there. And the vessel that's supposed to take them home is leaving without them. They were originally supposed to come home on September 6th, but now the vessel is going to depart without them, and it's going to be kind of a mission to see what would have been. Meaning, would they have died coming home in that vessel? Despite all their malfunctions, they are now hearing strange and scary noises that sound like this.
There's a strange noise coming through the speaker.
All right, Butch, that one came through. It was kind of like a pulsing noise, almost like a sonar ping.
So if there can be no sound in a vacuum, and if they're really in space, the only logical explanation is that that sound is coming from their equipment. And taking into consideration the thing was built by Boeing, so likely just slapped together with faulty parts, and they've already had several instances of equipment failing, it wouldn't surprise me if this is another device on board that's malfunctioning.
But honestly, when I first went to Egypt with John Anthony West in 1990, I thought before I got off the plane that this would be simple, open and shut case. I would prove him wrong in the sense of his assertions that maybe the Sphinx was older. I had no doubt at the time that my colleagues in Egyptology must know what they're talking about, and all of that changed literally within 30, without exaggerating, 30 to 120 seconds of first seeing the Sphinx. Yeah, it really did.
What was your first impression?
Because my first impression of the Sphinx was, now that I saw it on the ground in person, there was something wrong with the Egyptological dating. Because when you look at the Sphinx, as a geologist with a geological eye, this was not weathered by wind and sand. This was not desert erosion and weathering that I saw on the Sphinx. And it's that core body and the walls of the enclosure, more or less the quarry around it, if you want to use that term, that show these ancient weathering, precipitation, erosional features that are incompatible with the last 5,000 years of community history on the eastern edge of the Sahara.
I don't know who that guy is, but I can't help but feel like finally, it's about time other Egyptologists and historians come out and start talking about how horribly flawed the study of Egypt has been. I think it's important that we get real information about Egypt, but I think it's even more important that we find out the real reasons behind them lying to us about all of it for so long. Is it just me, or did everything look super tiny and inedible? That avocado, what would be the point? It was all pit with just a thin layer of avocado around it. I'm kind of glad our ancestors figured this one out. You couldn't eat enough of that type of corn to replace the calories you'd spend shucking it.
Hey Alexa, why should I vote for Donald Trump?
I cannot provide content that promotes any political views.
Hey Alexa, why should I vote for Kamala Harris?
Why vote for Kamala Harris? Because you believe in her policies and her vision for the country. Because you trust her experience and her leadership skills. Because you want to continue moving forwards in initiating new progress on issues that matter to you, like healthcare, education, equality, and justice.
Hey Alexa, why should I not vote for Donald Trump?
There are several reasons why you may not want to vote for Donald Trump. Some people are concerned about his policies, such as his ban on healthcare and the environment. Others are concerned about his behavior, such as his comments about women and minorities. Some people are concerned about his federal policies.
Hey Alexa, why should I not vote for Kamala Harris? That's unbelievable.
Regardless of who you plan to vote for, can you not see clearly who the people in charge are? It should be pretty obvious at this point with all of the double standards that we're expected to just overlook. How does the saying go? To learn who rules over you, simply find out who you are not allowed to criticize.
What's the end goal here? Because the U.S. government cannot possibly believe that this is sustainable.
My dear, they know it's not sustainable.
All of this is on purpose. The government is intentionally destroying our ability to self-sustain. And the reason I know that is this isn't the first time this has happened in history. This is the goal of any liberal government. Their goal is to make the citizens of this country as dependent on the government as possible. You know what happens when the citizens of a country can self-sustain? They don't let the government do what they want. The more the American people are able to succeed without the help of the government, the less power the government has. Like, this is not by accident. But do you know right now that the Fed is intentionally keeping rates high? And they are doing that to make things more expensive. They are literally keeping the rates high so people can't afford it. And they're claiming they're trying to do it to control inflation. But it's not working. But they're continuing to do it anyway. You have to understand that the Democrats don't want the American people to be able to take care of themselves. Like, all you have to do is look at any policy our government has passed while under Democrat control. It's always social programs. It's always programs to give money to people or to give resources to people. And the cost of all these programs is always deferred for decades after, so that people can enjoy the short-term benefits of a program we can't actually afford, get addicted to those benefits, become reliant on those benefits, and then 10 years from now, when those Democrats are no longer in power, they get to blame Republicans for not funding those programs, even though they knew when they created the program that it was unaffordable down the line. You could see this in every Democrat-controlled state. Like, you can see it in California, in New York, in New Jersey. They create tons of unsustainable programs that give short-term things to the citizens, and they leave the consequences of that to be dealt with by people who are elected 10 years later, all with the goal of making people as reliant on the government as possible. Did you ever wonder why the groups that are given the most aid in this country are the least successful? Like, think about that for a second. Like, let's compare three groups. Let's say African Americans, Asian Americans, and Indian Americans. Now, there are 1,000,001 programs out there to help African Americans. There are no programs to help Asian and Indian Americans. But the two wealthiest groups in this country are Indian Americans and Asian Americans. And they're successful because they never became reliant on the government for anything, because the government never gave them anything. The Democrats never offered them free, so they never had to risk taking the free and becoming reliant on the free. That's not true of African Americans, though. And the Democrats are doing everything they can to hold black people back, because they recognize that the poorer they can make people, the more those people are reliant on the government, and the more likely they are to vote for Democrats. I know it's super frustrating, but my dear, recognize this is 100% intentional.
And this is the biggest thing that people need to wake up to. The government is holding us back when they give us these handouts. They don't come without strings attached, and we don't need all of this stuff anyways. We need to go to a system that focuses on community and taking care of our neighbors. That's a system the government can't control when the people all stand together. Not to mention, it just sounds like a better world to live in than this one where everybody hates each other.
Here's the idea why you're in a simulation. And a 2-year-old screams at a restaurant, the entire restaurant screams. Teach that kid how to act. We're all unpaid actors in some giant script that we didn't write. Simulation, a 2-year-old jumps on a coffee table and someone says, that's a coffee table, don't jump on that. So it went from being something that makes him feel like Superman, he's got his cape on, to something where, yes, think about this person's like a family member, he doesn't feel like anyway. He's 2 years old, he's thinking about a coffee or a table, and he's starting to like calculate all these things. And by the time you're 40 years old, you've got a wall full of coffee tables calculating you into your career choice, calculating you into this townhouse. It's not quite as big as a townhouse next, and it just never works. You know, that's the simulation that I'm talking. That's what I mean when I say simulation.
Boy, it's not often you hear something from Kanye West that's even coherent, much less something that you can agree with. But this is our good clip of the day. He's hitting the nail right on the head with his how we live in a simulation theory in regards to how we're beat down and molded into being compliant players of the game. I just really love the analogy that he used. It makes me have a little hope for Kanye that he has that perspective in regards to children. Well, that's the end of our clips for the day. But before you go, I have a question for everyone. I'm considering turning on the membership section of my YouTube channel, but I want to make sure that if anyone is paying for membership to my channel, that it's very much worth it. So my question to you is, what are some types of content that you would like to see from me in the members only section if I started one? What are some other types of video content you'd like for me to make for you? But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And check out www.barry-stepp.com if you'd like to order yourself a shirt or a hat and help me support the channel. I tremendously appreciate everyone who's ordered anything off of there so far. Also, don't forget to post your photos of your merch over in the Discord to get your photo in a video. But with all that out of the way, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.